Have you ever wondered how we decide who gets remembered in history? It's a fascinating question, right? It's really a story about who we choose to celebrate, and maybe even more importantly, who we accidentally leave behind.
I mean, seriously, think about it. For every single famous name that's carved into a monument, there are thousands, literally thousands, of other people who helped build the very foundation that monument stands on. This is about them, the unsung heroes who build a nation.
So here's the thing with how history often gets told. It tends to shine this huge, bright spotlight on just a few big names. And when that happens, you get a picture that's, well, it's not the whole story. It leaves so many people in the shadows. Take Singapore, for instance. A lot of historical books have traditionally focused on a pretty small group of community leaders. And look, their stories are definitely important, but it creates this imbalance. It totally overlooks what the source material for this story calls the forgotten champions of the working class. Well, to fix that imbalance, an amazing and really ambitious project was launched. It's a book called Singapore Tamils 200, and its whole purpose is to bring these forgotten stories right back into the light where they belong.
This book was actually published as part of Singapore's bicentennial, and its mission is both simple and incredibly powerful: to tell the life stories of 200 people who made a real difference to the Tamil language and community, many of whom have never really gotten the recognition they deserve.
And get this, the name itself is so cool and so thoughtful. The Tamil title, Irunavar, which means the 200, is a direct nod to the Ainunuar. Now that was a legendary, really famous Tamil trading guild from 1,000 years ago. So the name connects this very modern project to this deep, powerful history. The mission here is just so inclusive. They're not just looking for one type of leader, no. They're looking at everyone, intellectuals, union organizers, business folks, you name it. And they define people by what they did, by their actions, not by some narrow label. And believe it or not, this book is just the beginning. The plan is to create a massive collection of 1,000 stories in total.
Okay, so to really understand the impact of a project like this, we got to go beyond just the mission statement. Let's zoom in and look at just one of the 200 lives documented in this book. This one story shows exactly why this work is so important.
We're going to dive into the life of the poet K.T.M. Iqbal. The book describes him as a man loved by poetry. And trust me, you're about to see why that is the absolute perfect way to put it. His story starts with just unbelievable tragedy. He was born in India in 1940, and his early childhood was just shattered. A cholera epidemic tore through his village, and it took his mother and 3 of his brothers. Can you imagine? His father, fearing he would be next, made this desperate choice in 1951 to bring his last surviving son, 11-year-old Iqbal, to Singapore. But arriving in Singapore wasn't some magical fix. Life was hard. I mean, really hard. Their first home was the open-air veranda of a shophouse. After that, they moved into the tiny space under a staircase. This was the start for a man who'd one day become a national treasure.
And this is where his incredible journey really kicks off. It's a story of pure grit, of perseverance, and this unshakable love for learning, all against some pretty impossible odds. So, at just 13 years old, he gets a job as an office boy. His salary? $60 a month. This wasn't just a job, it was about survival. But for Iqbal, this was also his starting line. While he was working that full-time job, he started on this relentless mission to educate himself. He signed up for adult education classes, he went to night school, he spent his Sundays studying Tamil. And he didn't just pass his big exams, he took on 8 subjects, including Tamil, and passed them all. Then for good measure, he taught himself bookkeeping. Just pure determination. This one little story tells you everything you need to know about him. His dad gives him $1 for a rare treat, to go see a movie. But on the way, he sees a book of poetry in a shop window. So what does he do? He spends 90 cents on the book and walks straight home, reading the entire thing before he even gets through the door. The movie was completely forgotten. His real passion had been found. So after decades of just quietly doing the work, driven by nothing but his love for words, the world finally started to pay attention. I mean, think about it. For more than 30 years, K.T.M. Iqbal wrote poetry just because he loved it. He wasn't chasing fame, he wasn't looking for awards, he was just doing his thing. But eventually, a talent like that becomes impossible to ignore. And then, the recognition started pouring in. It began in 1990 with a commendation, and then it just kept building over the next 2 decades, all leading up to the 2014 Cultural Medallion, which is Singapore's highest possible honor for an artist. The boy who once slept under a staircase was now officially one of his country's most celebrated poets. It's just incredible.
And Iqbal himself seemed to have this quiet faith that things would work out. He basically believed that if you create something good, it will eventually find its way into the light. And wow, his own life is the perfect proof of that philosophy.
Okay, so let's zoom back out for a second. What does this one man's amazing story have to do with the big picture of saving history? Well, it turns out, everything. At the end of the day, K.T.M. Iqbal is one of 200. His incredible journey from unimaginable hardship to national icon is exactly the kind of story that gets lost to time so easily. He is the perfect living definition of a forgotten champion. He's the whole reason a project like this needs to exist.
And this really brings us right back to the book's core mission. The whole idea is to make sure that no one, no matter their background, just disappears from our collective memory. It's such a powerful reminder that a country's history isn't just about big monuments and headlines. It's about the sum of all of its stories, especially the quiet ones.